The sun's sextile Lilith in a chart is very much about freedom and independence. It's about being your authentic self, about knowing who you are, truly in your skin, and not being afraid to show that self out to the world. Not being afraid. And that not being afraid of being yourself is what it's all about. Being unapologetically you and shining your light with releasing the real and raw primal feeling of what it means to truly be yourself. I'm Evercardi, and welcome to the Cosmic Sky Podcast. I have this aspect exact in my chart. I just want to tell you that right now. It is exact. My sun is at 16 degrees of Aries, and my Lilith is at 16 degrees of Gemini. And they're sextiling each other. So I'm going to talk about this aspect through experience, through my own personal reflections and contemplations, and my own personal take on it, my own personal perspective on it. That it comes down to with that. Really delving into the meaning of this aspect, and hopefully it will fill up about an hour's worth of time to go through all of this and really go deep into each one of these individual points so that you can understand the kind of flow of how this sort of goes when it comes to understanding this aspect in a birth chart. This is what this video is. I don't do I do aspects, every now and then. I like to keep you on your toes. I like for you to not expect what I post next. I kind of tell you at the end of episodes, but so you can kind of like, oh, what is it going to be next? I'm doing it very randomly. I'm doing it how I want to. How I want to do it. And I'm not having a particular structure to it. Like, I'm finding that I don't want to limit myself with a particular structure, like a series of placements or whatever. I have a lot of ideas, a lot of things that I want, videos that I want to do, and so I want to do it. I don't want to be bound to a certain series that I'm doing of certain placements to be just so limited to that and only do that. So delving into this placement. So the sun in your natal birth chart. The sun represents your conscious desires. The moon is your unconscious impulses. The sun, which is your sun sign, my sun is in Aries, it's exalted in Aries, is the part of you that is conscious and aware of what is going on in the outside world and what is going on all around you in your life. That's what the sun is. It's conscious and not only that, but it rules your desires. But more than that, it's your ego. The ascendant is what you're naturally rising into, and it deals more in esoteric astrology with the soul. And the sun sign is more of your ego. So my ego is very individualistic, assertive, courageous, bold, takes initiative, isn't afraid to stand up for itself. And my rising sign in Sagittarius is very truth-seeking, very much about forming its own beliefs about life, seeing the bigger picture, seeing, the meaning behind things as opposed to the little details, the Gemini descendant, forming your own beliefs about things. And it's also about freedom and independence. So the sun is really at the core of your being. That's what the sun is. It is at the core of who you truly are. It's your identity. The sun is very, very simple. The sun is who you are. And I'm going to do a video about the sun in astrology sometime. I'm going to do an episode about that sometime. And I want to do an episode about my sun in Aries placement. Sometime I'll get to it. There's no rush. I have all the rest of my life to do all the videos that I want to do. And I'm taking my time because I'm allowed to take my time, and I'm allowed to take things one step at a time. I'm not going to rush things. I'm not going to put pressure on myself to do all this because I have all the time in the world. And anyone that tells me I do not have enough time, well, no, I do, and I'm going to allow myself the space and the time to do all that I wish to do without rushing it. So, I'm going to take my time. This video is going to be as long as I wanted it to be, and that's how it is going to be. So, if you like long and in-depth and deep and insightful astrology, you're in the right place. If you want to learn about growth and evolution and spirituality, you're also in the right place. So, before I even go on, I usually do this at the end of the videos, but, I would encourage you to subscribe to the channel at the end if you like this content, because I'd love for you to join this community. I invite you to do this. It really, really helps the channel grow. So I really will encourage you to support my channel, so that we can build a very, very wonderful and big community of like-minded souls that I want to build on this channel. So, anyway, delving right back into what I was discussing. The sun is your identity. It's who you are. Your sense of energy. The sun is energy. The sun is who you are on a very, very dynamic level. The sun is dynamism. And, what does it mean to be dynamic? There's a lot of activity and energy into it. Now, at worst, it can be controlling. And I'm going to discuss that aspect. I'm going to discuss being controlling toward the end of this episode, probably. Because that's the shadow with Sun sextile Lilith, is that controlling nature. And we're looking at the shadow expressions of Sun sextile Lilith. And most of all, the higher expressions as somebody who has this aspect exact in their chart. Full of new ideas. So that is what I want to discuss there. So that is basically it. Now Lilith. My Lilith is in Gemini. And Lilith in Gemini, guess what? With Lilith in Gemini, I'm going to tell you right now. This is a message to my subscribers. This is a message, really, to all my viewers. Guess what? I don't care if you reject the way that I speak, that you reject what comes out of my mouth, rejecting what I'm saying, rejecting how I'm feeling, rejecting my ideas and what I want to share. I will share my ideas and my voice without apology, without inhibition, without holding myself back. And for those who like me being authentic to who I am, you're my people. For those who disapprove and be like, oh, this person's just so, too, I don't like this person's ideas. It's too, not realistic or too arrogant or whatever. Well, then you're not my people. You're not for me. you don't have to stick around. But I don't need to see your judgments underneath my videos. Just don't subscribe to my channel. You're not obligated to watch my videos, so don't judge what I authentically want to do. It's okay if you disagree with me and have, share your thoughts in a loving, like-minded way. But you don't have to be judgmental to me about what I say and how I say it in the way that I want to say it. So that's what I want to say to you with this. So Lilith is, in mythology, she was the first wife of Adam in the Garden of Eden. And when Adam asked her, basically Adam was very, very controlling to her. And Adam expected her to follow along with all these expectations, all these rules, all these standards, with what, with what he needed, with what he was doing, of having to conform, of having to mirror him, of having to follow his rules. And Lilith wasn't having any of it. So she said, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do my own thing, and I'm not going to be subservient to you, and I'm not going to go along with your thing. And so Lilith was cast out of society, rejected, thrown off the beach, thrown off society, rejected, thrown out, because society was not secure and was too sensitive to handle somebody who was so, society was feeling insecure about itself, and it didn't know how to handle Lilith's energy being all wild and free and very, very liberated and very, 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 not putting up, with Lilith saying no to Adam, Lilith rejecting Adam. Well, then society rejected her. Isn't that sad? Isn't that sad that, society couldn't let her be and accept her? That society couldn't just accept Lilith for who she is, for who she was. Isn't that sad? I really, really feel for Lilith being herself and being in her power and not being able to express her real, raw self, trusting that she wasn't coming from her ego. Just by saying the simple word, no, she was rejected. That's the story of Lilith. And so, Lilith is your wild, divine, feminine power. That's that's what Lilith is your divine power. And this power is sovereign. With this energy of Lilith, you are truly showing that you are a sovereign individual. That you are an independent and free, an authentic individual that is determined to be exactly who you are, as you are. So, Lilith is sovereign. Lilith is a sovereign being, that will do its own thing and live its own life no matter what you think and no matter what you want. And that is beautiful. Lilith says, oh, what they think of me, none of my business. They can think whatever they want, I'm going to do it. And that is a beautiful quality to have, because that means that you are free to do what your soul is calling you to do. You're free to live the life that's true for you. And that is so admirable. Isn't that admirable? Isn't that incredibly admirable? Especially for Aries North nodes, listen up. I think that you'll find that story very admirable. With Aries North node, there is a call to lean into what you truly want intuitively, what truly feels right to you. Not necessarily acting on impulses, but on intuition, with living out the life that is authentic to who you are, not being afraid to disappoint people in the process. Because that's what's going to happen, because not everybody in the world is going to like what you're doing. And they're learning that it's okay to disappoint people. It is okay to assert themselves and stand up for themselves and be their individual selves. It is okay, and that is their life path. And I do believe that in Vedic astrology, my North nodes in Aries, and I wouldn't mind having my North node in Aries. I have a Sun in Aries, and all of that. So, great placement to have, and I really, really, don't have anything, negative to say against that particular placement or any, whatever. I think it's a great placement because I'm an Aries Sun and the North node's in Aries, so all that is, very true for me. So anyway, Lilith in nature will not conform to societal. Well, you have to understand, Lilith will not conform to societal norms that they don't believe in. Lilith is not going to go along to get along, go along with what society wants it to go along with, and do what society expects it to do, and follow the rules and do all of this. No. It is going to be its individual self, and it's going to shine, it's going to break out of that, and it's going to rebel, and it's going to not be afraid to be itself. Truly. So, that's what it really, really comes down to when it comes to, when it comes to Lilith in nature, is that it will break all these societal norms that it doesn't quite agree with. It doesn't quite believe in. Lilith in nature is about authenticity, being authentic. And to be authentic means to be real, to be exactly as you are. Not try to put on airs, not try to do that, but to own who you are, the whole of who you are, and to accept who you are as you are. The messy parts, the prideful parts, the good parts, the amazing parts, the talents, the gifts, the strengths, the challenges, the weaknesses. The whole of who you are is to be authentic. So that is, that, and then, to be authentic means to align to, this is what it says based off of, what AI is saying, to take your actions and your words and all the choices that you make and live it in a life that is in conjunction with your true values and true sense of self. Acting with integrity. Acting with, truth and, with knowing what's right and being in your authenticity. Donald Trump could certainly learn a lot about being authentic. Certainly. He is so inauthentic. because he is wrapped up in the false sense of self. I'm telling you, not the way to go. And you could ask yourself, like, can an old dog learn new tricks? I mean, honestly, that is what I have to say about that. So I wanted to clarify that. So, Lilith is rebelliousness. Lilith is going to rebel. Lilith is going to, let itself, with Lilith energy, with Lilith placements, aspects to Lilith. We really have to let it out of the cage. We really have to let, all these things out of the cage. All these shadowy aspects of ourselves, all these parts that we want to deny and disown and hide, because Lilith is our shadows. Lilith is what we want to deny and push down, and it's, where that flame needs to be lit. That is deep and dark, but it is true to who we are. And it's our true sense of power within ourselves. And Lilith is also a rebel. It rebel with the cause. It will rebel against society's standards. Not respecting, not accepting you for who you are, not allowing you to be exactly who you are, and to be in your truth, and to be exactly who you are, with the beauty, with the the strength and the bold and the courageous self that you truly are. It is not allowing you to be rebellious. With Lilith, you want sovereignty over your life. You want to live a life that is independent, free from everybody else, free from society, free from anything external to you, all that. That's what you, that's what you really want, is sovereignty. Like, you really, really want that quality. And, with Lilith, okay, so now we're delving into this aspect of the sun sextile Lilith now. So I'm giving you the introductory stuff, but now we're delving in. So, with Lilith, what you want truly on a soul level is sovereignty. To run your own life the way that you want to run your own life, the way that you want to live your own life, as a sovereign being, apart from anybody else, apart from anyone else's individuality and anything like that. Anyone else's rules or standards or opinions or thoughts or whatever. And, you may, feel, angry. When people tell you, you can't be yourself. You can't be your rebellious, free, authentic self, and step out of the crowd and stand out and, be wild and be, like, Lilith is your wild side. Like, we're walking on the wild side, with Lilith energy. And so this is about not being afraid to embrace, not being afraid to embrace your anger. Like, really, really feeling angry and really living from the place and using it for, in a constructive, very, very, well way to fuel your life desires, to fuel your career, to fuel your purpose in life. But so this feeling comes in, of feeling very, very angry at, at your self. You're feeling, really, really angry. Like the sun, any Lilith aspect, there's some anger and some feeling like, I'm so angry that I'm rejected and no one's accepting me. When people don't accept you for who you are, however wild, however rebellious, however, outspoken you are, then resentment builds up. Loneliness builds up because because you don't feel like you can fit in. You don't feel like you can turn to somebody and have proper relationships where nobody gets you, where nobody understands you and supports you in that respect. And then what happens is then you feel lonely. Why doesn't anyone get me? Why doesn't anyone accept me for who I am? And then you act out of anger. Then the volcano, it's like Mount Vesuvius. And eventually it's going to erupt. Like all the tectonic plates and the lava and the rocks and all that stuff is sort of churning and fluctuating and emulsifying and moldating in that Mount Everest. And then eventually it's going to erupt because you just have so much anger that's built up and you're expressing it in a way because you're holding in who you are. And when you hold in who you are, then you're oppressing your real identity and your real self, and eventually it's just going to erupt because you're just going to have no patience anymore, and you're going to just express that just wildly, and it's going to be so much so that then others won't be able to handle it because it's very, very explosive, and it comes out of you because you didn't allow yourself to just be who you are. When you allow yourself to be who you are, when you feel secure about your sense of self, you won't have those eruptions within you. You won't have those eruptions coming, inside of you that just come out of you, that are just so unexpected that you didn't even realize. So, so there's this feeling of, there's this feeling here of being marginalized. Really, really being marginalized, treated as the outcast, being, feeling angry because you can't join in with society. No one will accept you for who you are. No one will love you for who you are. And then you get outside of society and, literally or figuratively, because others reject you. It's like, all I'm trying to do is just be myself. All I'm trying to do is just be myself. I just spoke my truth. I just expressed myself and you're not liking it? What is that about? No. I refuse to give into this. I refuse to succumb to this. Now, I'm going to be myself. And I don't care if you like it or not. Like, to have that mindset is so incredibly empowering to have. So, I don't know if it is the frequency that I speak or whatever that I speak that sounds arrogant or sounds too like it needs to be tamed down. This is who I am as someone who is sextile Lilith, and I'm not going to hide that. If you perceive me that way, this is who I am, and I'm not going to apologize for that. Because other people may be different in terms of their personalities, because everybody's different. Everybody has different aspects of the chart, different signs, different energies, and this is what I've been dealt with, and I'm going to choose to embrace what I've been dealt with. So, angry because of being cast out of society, not being accepted by the rest of society, and what you demand and expect and really, really want to live for yourself is a life of authenticity, to be your true authentic self no matter what, and that is who I aspire to be in my life. Now, with this placement, you shine with authentic expression. You shine in your true self, with the image that you want to put across to the world, with who you want to be in the world as, your true sense of self. And, Lilith, really is about, your true sense of self, that you have, about yourself. That's what it really, really comes down to. And so shining in that, standing in that very, very proudly, and being unapologetically who you are. It's like, well, what would you do if you were to be unapologetically who you are? If you were to be unapologetically you, what would you do? Like, I want to empower you. you have this aspect of strong Lilith energy in your chart. What would you do if you felt the freedom and the security within yourself and the safety within yourself to be unapologetically you? That's the question you can ask yourself. Without fear of refusal or judgment, without feeling like the other's going to judge you or, or push you aside or get mad at you and, and tell you you're so selfish, you should be doing this, you're too self-centered or you're too narcissistic or, whatever. Like, not caring what the other thinks of you. Not giving a darn about what the other thinks of you. My North Node in Taurus says, mind your own business. Don't be so concerned with others' psychology, others' thinking, others, dramas and what they have going on with you. If somebody is really, really being very, very dramatic to you, if somebody were to be very, very Scorpio, embodying the Scorpio South Node, being very, very, having a grudge against me, wanting to get back against me, and being very, very dramatic to me, like, I am going to be a stable rock of security and stability, and I'm not going to let them get to me, and I'm going to be in my Taurus energy, doing what gives me peace and stability, because I deserve to live a life of peace and stability, and, you're not going to take me down into that dark place again, because I am done with being in the dark place, allowing others to, to have, to take away my own sense of self-worth about myself and to control me and to, manipulate me and having to manipulate them and having to go along, with them and use my emotional powers to get my way. Like, I'm done that. I'm going to build a life for myself and I'm going to really, really be in my Taurus energy. And you better not follow me 5 years from now when the North Node's going to be in the opposite side of Taurus, which is Scorpio. I think 2031 or something like that, because I'll probably be posting a lot of content that is very North Node and Taurus. God so help me at that time, because I will not do Scorpio. Like, I'm done with Scorpio. I don't want to go back there. I want to move to something different and something more stable in my life. And that's the life that I deserve to live in this life. And I'm so blessed to have what I have in my natal chart. So, what does it mean to live a life unapologetically with who you are, without the fear of, refusal or judgment, without feeling like, anyone's going to judge you for who you are. And so this placement really is about challenging societal norms, challenging, like this aspect, sextile Lilith, like, I am not afraid to challenge what, I am so secure within myself now and so true to myself that I'm not afraid to challenge in my own loving, soulful, and compassionate way, which I'm going to get into at the end of this video. I'm not afraid to challenge, the norms of society, that I don't believe in and I don't agree with and that are not true for me, with all the, wisdom that I built up in my life now, and questioning structures, questioning the structures in my life, questioning these structures that limit me, that keep me back from being myself, without trepidation. That's really what I will aspire to do and what I will want to do. And so this is about, they feel like they are the ones on the outside looking in. They are the ones feeling like they are eccentric. They are different from anyone else. They are, and eccentric. Not going with what is conventional or accepted. It is unconventional, like Aquarius is an eccentric sign. And imagine if I had Sun and Aries, Lilith, and Aquarius, and I'd be really, really, out there and individualistic. But Gemini wants to be free, wants to learn, wants to be curious, and doesn't want to be bound to certain things. And my Lilith in Gemini is like, don't fence me in. Don't box me into the ideas that I have to learn and conform to. I want to be free and curious and spontaneous to learn what I want to learn about and the ideas that I want to learn about. So, when it comes right down to it, this can make them outsiders. And, going along with, I had a conversation with a family member who is a Scorpio North Node, who is very, very much in her Scorpio North Node, very, very good, and she mentioned others' values, and I laughed and said, well, that's you, that's your North Node, that's your life direction, not mine. I'm already so, I've already been so, consumed with others' values that I didn't have a sense of my own self, that I don't need to look at others' values. I need to work on looking at my own values and living a life for me and not worrying about anybody else's stuff and worrying about the life that is true for me to live. That is my North Node in Taurus, and I intend to live that out as fully as I can, that feels right and comfortable for me. And I'm really, really comfortable with that placement in my chart. And I love that placement in my chart. So, coming back to Sun sextile Lilith, which, is not, I'm not talking about that. I have a whole video on the North Node and Taurus, a whole podcast going in depth about that in this podcast if you want to check that out and all that I have to say about Taurus North Node. But anyway, I thought that I might, mention that because I also have that placement in my natal chart. So, this is about, you're going to find, for those who have Sun sextile Lilith, that others are going to be drawn. Others not only going to, accept who you are, but they're going to be like, more please. More please. I want the fullness and the bigness and the, aliveness. And this, you can take up as much space as you can. You can be your, authentic self as much as you can, and accept and drawn to being authentic. Now, not everybody will, okay? Because there will be those who will just have their opinions and reject who you are, but a lot of people will not. That's just the reality with anyone. Like, there will be people that will not like who you are, and there will be a lot of those who will. Okay? So that's how you can really, really find the people that are true for you in your life to connect with and to bond with and to form healthy relationships with. So, others really accepting and being drawn to you being exactly as you are, the beautiful, true, and courageous, assertive soul that you are. And I say this with love, that if you have Sun sextile Lilith, like I do, and you're watching this, you are beautiful. Live in that beauty, embrace your beauty. I have this aspect. I will do the exact same. I will do the exact same. I won't be afraid to shine. So, not being drawn, drawn to being, being authentic. Others are going to be drawn to you being authentic. Just know if you're going to be very, very authentic within yourself, you're going to attract people who are going to be really, really drawn to that and who are going to really, really support you. But it's not who you want. Is to be, it's for you to be accepted, for others to like you, for others to, accept you. Like, if you put yourself out there as authentic, then you're going to attract those who really, really are on your side and who are authentic within itself. And I want to attract those people to my channel. I want those people to subscribe to my channel. Like, who you are and who you put yourself out there is who you, attract who you're in your life, because your state of being, with who you are is also who you attract, who you bring in your life. So I want to attract those loving and kind and souls who have a lot of integrity and who are like-minded. I want those people to be subscribers of my YouTube channel. So, you know, and the thing with this placement is they will not compromise on their self-expression. You know, my self-expression is my videos, my music, my Real Me podcast, especially, these astrology videos. You know, like with these videos, you know, I will not compromise in my own self-expression, how I want to authentically express my true self. Like, I will not, you know, give that up for anyone. You know, I want to do my own creative thing and do my own thing that I feel good about, that I feel proud with in myself, that I feel a healthy sense of pride and love, Leo energy, progressment in Leo. I want to do the thing that, you know, makes me feel good and gives me joy and fulfillment. And if you like it, then by all means, comment and subscribe. You're free to do that. If you don't, then you don't have to stick around, but you don't have to, you know, project onto me your negative feelings, you know, about it onto me and, you know, take me down. So, you know, because you won't take me down. I will continue to, like, I will build up thick skin so that all the opinions that reject me and all that, and all the people who preach to me, you should do this, you should consider this opinion, like, I won't be so, you know, I won't take it personally as much. I won't allow it to get the better of me. I wouldn't allow it I wouldn't allow it to impact me. I would really take it personally. You know, I will build up this, this thick skin and this iron stomach to all that rejection, all that negativity, that I will not allow it to get the better of who I am and who I want to be within myself. So, and in this life. So, you know, not, you know, it's about, you know, really, you know, not compromising, you know, your self-expression. You know, not compromising, you know, who you are, not giving that up. And you know, this placement indicates somebody who will not give that up. And, you know, with this placement, you know, with this placement, it comes down to, you know, knowing people with this placement are comfortable and secure within themselves. Because that's how they are. You know, they are sure of themselves, they are comfortable within themselves, you know, they are all about. So with these individuals who have this, including me, you know, it's really about, you know, what it's really about is being comfortable in your own self, your own sense of self. And being secure within yourself, because, you know, when you're secure within yourself, then you know, then you're really living out your most authentic life expression, your soul's purpose, and you're really being the full you, who you are, and you're really expressing yourself authentically and unapologetically, and you really, you know, feel good about yourself. But like, don't you feel good, and don't you feel like this feels right? I'm heading in the right direction. Like, when we're in our ego, it's like taking people down, like fighting. I want to be first, and I want to be best. And, you know, all of this, and, you know, you're wrong and I'm right and all that, then that's not you being secure in yourself, and that's ego stuff, low vibrations, and that's you having a false sense of self. And you know it's a false sense of self because others reject it. Others, okay, let me tell you this right now. And I want to tell you this honestly. If others reject your sense of self, it's not your real sense of self. Okay. I mean, somebody will, you know, reject it, as I said earlier, but if, like, you know, a lot of people, you know, reject, you know, your sense of self, if it is, well, okay. if it doesn't feel right to you, if it feels like, oh, I'm not going to get very far with this, I'm selfish, I'm, arrogant and whatever, and that's your false self. But if you feel like you're being truly yourself, inside your soul with, who you are authentically, then, that's who you are, and embrace it. So, it is about, being secure within yourself. To be authentic is to really be secure within yourself, and enabling yourself to be very, very free and true to your self-expression, true to who you want to be, in very, very important ways. Because because that is the truth. Is being free and liberated, and being true to who you are, being free to be yourself. It is about self-acceptance, accepting yourself as you are, and self-acceptance. Accepting every part of who you are, and holding space for every part of who you are, your strengths, weaknesses, and everything like that, without needing to judge, without needing to criticize, without needing to be mean and harsh to yourself and beat yourself up over things. Like, self-acceptance is a very, very compassionate thing. It's about being compassionate, loving towards yourself. Loving so that you do have the freedom, that you do give yourself. It's about giving yourself permission to be your authentic self, no matter what. And Lilith wants to be itself, no matter what the cost. It doesn't care what the cost. It's like, I'm going to be myself no matter what. So, okay. So, it is about self-compassion also. It's about, getting acknowledgement. And because you're probably going to get a lot of acknowledgement in this life, it's probably going to be, incredibly likely that you're going to get acknowledgement, about, your hard work. That others are going to compliment and really, really see the value and understand and, appreciate, your hard work about yourself. Acknowledging, your hard work, your persistence, how you, had this goal or this plan or this, idea or this vision, and you stuck it out. You were so stubborn and so willing and committed to doing something that was true for you, that you wouldn't let anyone take you away. You were steadfast. You were like, even if people reject me, even if people have negative things to say about it, I'm still going to do it anyway. I'm still going to march forth and do my thing. And, do my, authentic thing with how I want to live my life. First and foremost, I'm going to put myself first in life. Putting yourself first. That a lot can be said for that. And that's really the high road of Aries energy. Is putting yourself first, and I'm going to live that out fully. And, so, it's about, everyone acknowledging, wow, you're so free, you're so liberated, you're so secure in yourself, wow, I've never met someone so, so unafraid to be themselves, so secure within themselves, so not afraid to shine and express their authentic light and all of that. And being, enduring. Having something in your life, sticking to it, and, I don't care what they think, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to commit to it. And yeah, so it's a beautiful quality to have. Now, getting into some things about this. that may be a little bit needing, that you may need to that you may need to keep in mind with it. To keep in mind with this, because it's about understanding. It's about understanding that in your quest to be your truest and most authentic self, it is about exactly that. Being secure within yourself and being true within your sense of self. Being true to yourself. That's what it's all about. It's about staying as much in your soul. And the soul is the part of you that is knowing what you want. It's the most spiritual part of you, connected to the all. It is, the part of you that just knows what it's right by feeling. Doesn't have to rely on logic and, rationale. But it's about staying in your soul, being in your soul. And, your inner sense of truth as much as you can. And when you do this, when you are unafraid to be yourself, and when you don't feel the need to take people down because you don't feel secure about yourself, and, take people down, I'm better than you and all this, and, I'm a superior, and I should be first, and I should, win, and I'm more secure in myself than you are, and all that kind of thing. Like, just all this ego stuff without love and compassion, without finding love and acceptance for you and everyone else in your heart. When you're following your soul, you won't destroy other people along the way. You won't burn bridges. You won't, hurt others. You'll find that when you're just doing your thing and being, in your soul, you'll find that your relationships blossom. I think that more that you are true to yourself and more focused on yourself and your own goals and what you want to achieve out in the world with the visions that you have with how you want to put yourself out there, then relationships really, really blossom. You'll have harmonious and loving relationships, very, very, very reciprocal and tactful and diplomatic relationships. Libra, I'm an Aries sun, Libra is the opposite sign, because you filled up your own cup, because you feel harmonious within yourself, you accept yourself, and you love at your soul's vision. Then you will have wonderful relationships. The more you are secure within yourself and the more you're authentic to you, the better relationships you will have. I'm telling you this because it's the truth. In this way, you'll find that you're more open and free. When you're in your soul, we're all love and light. We're all connected. We're all one. It's all compassionate. It's all beautiful. You're open. When you're in your soul, you're free. And I'm not here to tell you, oh, you should consider how you come across to others. That's not in my nature to say, because I don't believe in saying that. And I don't believe in when somebody tells me that. It's like, oh my gosh, that whole preachy, thing again that's so familiar, that's so surface level. Like, no, I don't believe in people telling me that. I'm sorry, but no, if you're going to come down on me, you better come at it from a spiritual place, because no. There is a way to be considering others' actions, and that is to be fully authentic to who you are. You can be authentic to who you are, and while you're being that, consider how your actions impact others. It isn't just, here's what's not true. If you're in your soul and you're authentic, to who you are, then you're going to hurt others and, reject others, and you better be careful. That's not how it is. Okay? Donald Trump, going back to him, has hurt others, has really, really insulted others because he was, very ego, very insecure, and, the pathological thing, the malignant thing built up inside of him so much that he is not connected to what his soul really wants. And that's why he is the most, narcissistic and person and inauthentic person that there is, one of the most inauthentic people that there is right now on this planet, and not willing and humble to learn, to read, to understand the complexities and the different sides of things. Very, very, just ticket to moon one. He really is the ticket to moon one. So, which means just way beyond anything, that we've ever seen before. So, and anyway, you're delving back to, back at the ranch right here. So, in this way, when you are connected to your soul, you are more free and open to the different perspectives. You're more open to different perspectives, different sides of things. Looking at the different facets of something, and seeing that oh, they have different sides, and it's about respecting the other side. It's about being open to the other side, not being so in your beliefs and in your opinions and in your viewpoints alone, but being open enough to look at the other perspective and respecting others. And it doesn't come from the ego. You can't do this you can't think your way through this. You can't make this logical. You can't make this ego. It comes from what feels right. Does it really feel genuine? Do you really mean it? Does it feel right inside of you to say this? And don't let anyone tell you that you can't be authentically who you are. So just be in your soul and not your ego. Going back to that video, that that content, that deep discussion that I did yesterday on the ego and the soul. So many of my videos will come back to that one video, that will revolve around that one video. Like that video is the sun, and all the other videos are like planets revolving around it. So, this does not come from the ego when you are respecting others' perspectives. And so it's about letting out your uniqueness freely out of its cage. Letting who you are as a free, unique individual come right out of its cage. It's about letting the lion out of the cage. If the lion is trapped and wanting to kill and wanting to be free and wanting to run and wanting to, okay, so picture a lion that's in a cage and it is just daring to just run free and be so wild and be so itself, be its true self, be in its power, live a life that's full to the fullest and all that, whatever lions want to do. And it's in a cage. And it feels like it can't do it. It can't break out of that cage. It can't break out of that cage when it comes to being who it truly is. It will get mad, it will get angry, a lot of things inside of it will be suppressed, and then it will, it's like, do whatever you can to break that cage, break out of your cage. And it's like a book that I was reading called Everlust. There was this McGill creature that, this world where, if you basically stand too long in a certain place, then, then the ground will, destroy itself from under you and you fall down. And he went down to the bottom ends of the earth, and he was like, "No, I'm gonna push and become this monster, or not become this monster, but I'm gonna live in this everlost reality, and I'm gonna just push my way, and I'm so willing and daring." Like in the same way, to not let your unique qualities, be suppressed and be pushed down, and let it freely out of its cage. And you sense, sensing, being very, very aware of yourself, being self-aware when you sense that, when you suppress, your raw, primal and authentic side. When you're suppressing your authentic uniqueness and your qualities that are so special to who you are, of your creative energy, of your ideas, of your energy, your enthusiasm, your and dynamism for life, then let it out of its cage. Let it out. Don't be afraid to let it out. And not suppressing it. Really. So that's what I want to encourage you with that. And so it's about also not being afraid to go deep with your desires, not being able to see the root of these desires and where they come from, what's really, making me feel this, or to challenge the things that are forbidden, challenging those things that are very, very, forbidden, within me, that I'm afraid to challenge. So, going back to what I was saying, not afraid to go against the taboo thing, not afraid to speak to the unspeakable, also. And this is about not being afraid to speak to the unspeakable, speak to what, others are afraid to speak to, whatever others have held down and not been open and not being willing to speak to. Well, your invitation is to be willing to speak to that, to be willing to say it, openly and fully, with who you are and who you want to express, and, really, really embracing that. And so, the connections that you form in relationships are going to be based on others. When you are secure within yourself and you are authentic to who you are, you're going to attract others who are like that and who accept who they are. They're accepting of their individuality and truth with who they are, and doing what feels authentic to them. Really, really doing that. Really, really living that out. When it comes to, living from that place of truth. And, it's like, you're in a relationship with both partners are allowed to take up as much space as they want to, as much, their energy can be just grown up. And when you come together with another person, your energy and your enthusiasm for life just grows because that other person's doing the same, and that makes you grow. That uplifts you. That makes that gives you permission to shine even brighter than you already are, and to live life more unapologetically than you already are. So, that is what it really comes down to. With doing what truly feels, authentic to you, in that way. That's really what it is. And, it's about knowing who your people are. Knowing who your people are. If they were to just be so, sensitive and fall apart, and, it's not for the faint of heart, like your self-expression and your, way of expressing yourself, if they disapprove of it, and if they are not fall apart, then, are they really your people? I mean, are they really your people if they disapprove, and if they, not really like what you want to do, if it comes from your soul, and if it feels true, and if it feels right to you, and if they were to fall apart and disapprove, you don't have to live your life in according to what they want you to do, and what they expect of you. Like, that's not true. You disapprove, when, they kind of fall apart and disapprove of your authentic voice. They are not your people. They are not your people. They are not the right people to relate to in your life. They don't get you. They don't understand you. They don't support you. They're not with you. And so it's about forming healthy relationships, diplomatic, peaceful, harmonious, and mutual relationships by relating to others that are of like mind to you, and that support you, and that accept you, and then cheer you on and be a cheerleader for you being your authentic self and expressing your authentic voice the way that you want to express it. So, be in healthy relationships. Don't be in unhealthy relationships. And so knowing sometimes that, honesty can be a little bit much at times when it is not coming from a loving place. And so that's very, very important that, that you come from that authentic, real, confident, loving place within yourself when you are honest and truthful. So, I don't believe that if we're coming from our soul and our authenticity, we are really mean and disrespectful. Mean and disrespectful is an ego thing that we have. So, it's about becoming, not becoming cut off from the world in negative ways. Not becoming, cut off from, this universe and what's going on in the world in those kind of ways. With all of this, and and then making sure that you're coming from a loving place with what you say, making sure that this comes from a place of love, and it's about speaking from your heart. Really, really speaking from your heart. What would your heart say? What would love say? What would love do? Speak and live from that place. Speaking from your heart, doing what it would do, doing what you would do if you truly loved with love in your heart, with care in your heart, with kindness in your heart. What would you truly say? Being true to who you are, and being in your heart, being in the energy of love, speaking from your heart, and saying what is authentic to you. Okay? Like, coming from that place of truth is very, very important because it's genuine. You really mean it. It's not just, white lies. Oh, white lies. White lies. Do I have something to say about white lies? Well, lies, even if they're white lies, inauthentic. I don't buy white lies, okay? Maybe if you're holding in a surprise for somebody at a birthday party because you want them to be surprised, but really white lies? No. I don't agree with lies at all. Black, white, blue, orange, purple, whatever. Lies are lies. They're not true. They're not with integrity. They're not with authenticity. And I don't buy that. So, no. I don't, in my videos, I wouldn't say, I won't say to, areas or, areas like, consider white lies and the value of white lies and how they can be helpful for you to consider not being so blunt and direct with people. Well, I will not say that because I am in Aries and that just makes me mad. When people tell me, just, like a family member that I was talking about telling me, like in the past, not in the phone conversation now, but she's told me about white lies, and I was like, no, I'm not going to lie my way through it. I'm not going to be inauthentic. I'm going to be truthful, and I'm going to be honest, and I'm going to tell someone what I really feel about them and what I really think about them from not an egoic place. So that is what I want to say about that. So, so speaking from your heart and, yeah. So here's the thing that I want to say. And there's a saying that goes around, and you know what that saying is? Live and let live. Let them, in other words. Just be aware of when you control others. Okay? Like, Scorpio South Node wants to manipulate and control and all that. Taurus is like, respect others' boundaries and focus on your own, what. Focus on your own life. Don't try to control others and dictate how others live their lives. And that's very, very loving. Taurus is ruled by Venus. Like that is also the Taurus North Node in me. So, knowing when not to push someone, so hard to be themselves. where you're forcing yourself onto them. Like, I made a video about authenticity and hiding it behind a wall. My intentions were very, very loving. And I'm not here to tell you, that even if you're coming from loving intentions, you're still coming across that way. I'm here to tell you the opposite. Like, your intention is everything. Your intention is everything. Do you intend to take somebody down, to, destroy somebody, to control somebody, to do all that? Or do you intend to be loving and offer up your truth of what you truly have to say from a place of love to this person? Your intentions are everything. And it's okay if they don't like it. It's okay if they disapprove. It's okay if they're in resistance to it. That is what, I'm learning, to not take people so darn seriously. No matter who they are, not taking people so darn seriously. And so, not forcing, yourself on them. Not forcing, who you are, with how you want to control others and tell them how to live their lives, where you're controlling them and telling them how to live their lives. But part of authenticity is respecting others' authenticity. That's what it's all about. So, because that is ego. The soul is very, very loving and open and accepting. The ego wants to control and tell others how to be. So, it's about living and let live. Live and let live. You don't have to be in control of others' lives. And you don't have to be burdened by needing to control others' lives, because you can't control others' lives. They will do what they will do what their soul wants them to do, which their soul's path and like direction, and what they feel is right is different for each person depending on who you talk to, and so what it's really, really about is, it's not about being in control of others. Being in control of others, wanting to dictate them, because they're, what they feel right to them is different from what you feel right, and you have to honor what they authentically want to do and respect them as they are, and not see them as your toy or your plaything or whatever. Like, they are a sovereign being with, feelings and goals and intentions, and we need to see each other as sovereign, individual, authentic beings. So we have to stop getting into this mindset of wanting to dictate it. Oh, because it feels right to me and I'm doing this. Oh, so we should dictate, what others want, to control others? No, I don't think we should do that. Because would you want to be controlled and told how to be? If you were that, you were told, be told, no, I want to do my own thing. I want to, live my own life how I want to be. So do you want to, ask yourself, do you want to be controlled? Since sextile Lilith. And so if the answer is no, then, it's about really, really honoring that, and, and forming relationships with others from that place. So, it's about recognizing when it becomes more about you than the other, okay? Recognizing when, you're the one controlling, it's, you, and you're projecting on them or whatever, and it's, them. And then it's about also understanding the other person's side. Knowing that everybody has a story, everybody has a narrative, everybody has different perspectives and different thoughts and different beliefs about things. It's about honoring and being open. You don't have to, compromise those beliefs. You don't have to, agree with those beliefs, but you don't have to be so closed-minded and rigid about them. You can just be open-minded. Like, that's the Gemini North Node, being open-minded to others' perspectives and all that. So everyone has a story, and it's about allowing everyone to be, who they are, and do what is right for them. So that's what we have to remember. Is, that everyone is worthy of being themselves, and you are just as worthy to shine your light and express your creative gifts and be who you truly are, and be the most real and loving and an unapologetic version of who you truly are, standing in your own freedom, standing in your own sovereignty, and standing in your own personal power. So that is all that I have to say on Sun, Sextile Lilith. I hope that you found a lot of insight from this episode of the Cosmic Sky podcast. This was long, but this was very, very deep. Tune in for tomorrow's episode, where I want to talk about, another, placement in my natal chart, which is my South Node in the 11th house and North Node in the 5th house. I'm talking about what that is all about. Really, really delving into that because, I have a lot to say with that and what that's all about and how that relates to me and my, past patterns of what I'm, moving towards. I've been wanting to do that episode for a long time, so I'll do that episode tomorrow. But thank you for tuning into this episode. And I will see you, whenever you want to tune in again. If you like this, then tune in for tomorrow's episode. Anyway, take good care of yourself, and so will I.